Hi, everyone, and welcome to Behind Your Eyes, Season 9 and Episode 4. And in this episode, the lovely Natalia is my guest. So, hi, Natalia, if you would like to introduce yourself, please.
Hi, Susanna. Thank you for having me here, spreading the word about love. I am a certified love, dating, and relationship coach for women. And I just love talking about love and all the juiciness that make relationship and dating work.
Well, we'll go a bit deeper into that later. But first, I always start with the same question, and that is a sincere, how are you doing?
How am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm doing great. I got up. I am an early morning person. So
Mhm.
I got up at 4, did my reading, all my good stuff. And then I went for a run with my friends. It's
Mhm.
super cold here. So we ran for about an hour
Mhm.
and saw the sunrise. And it felt so good to be running out there when everybody's sleeping and it's
Mhm.
dark and it's cold and it feels like what can go wrong after that?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I
great.
am doing great. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, doing good. I'm happy and well. And I
Awesome.
always enjoy talking to, inspirational women, so that's always a bonus.
Good, good.
But I would love to know a bit more about how you started to be the coach, dating and relationship coach that you are now. Like, could you tell me a bit about your background and how you got to where you are now?
Yes, awesome. Well, I have been doing this for a while now, so it's kind of like a long story, but I'm gonna try to make it short. My love for the human mind and what makes us tick and what makes us do one thing and not another one started at a very, very young age when I was 14.
Mhm.
And that love for humanity guided me, inspired me to go to university and get trained as a psychotherapist. And then after that, on my early 20s, I got inspired to learn about Eastern philosophy and all the meditation and yoga and breath work and chanting and mantras and all that good
Mhm.
stuff. But it wasn't until I moved to the United States when I
Mhm.
was in my late 20s that I got deep into the coaching world.
Mhm.
And the reason why coaching really, really spoke to me is because I felt it is the perfect combination of psychology, Western psychology, Western philosophy,
Mhm.
and Eastern philosophy.
Mhm.
I really, really loved how both of them came together in a structured package.
Mhm.
So I jumped into that wagon wholeheartedly. That was over 20 years ago. And the journey has been, I have done different kind of coaching over the time.
Mhm.
And dating and relationship coaching is something that I am doing full time for about 5 years now. And the reason being is that working with my clients, at that point I had worked with thousands of women,
Mhm.
and it didn't matter what we were working on. Could be their health, could be their business,
Mhm.
could be their spirituality, any area that these women were hiring me as a therapist to work with or as a coach. After a while,
Mhm.
sometimes after one session, sometimes after 3 sessions, it will come up, Natalia, you know what? I want to make my relationship better with my
Mhm.
husband. Natalia, you know what? What I really want is to meet a great man and have a family, you know, create legacy that way. So to me, it was something that was showing up in my life a lot as a demand. And then another thing that I always had is that I always gave women good luck. Since I was a child, they will tell me, you know, I want to do this, I want to do that, and it will happen for them. So, and in relationships, every single woman that will tell me, you know, I want to be in a relationship, it would happen. So, you know, so that's why I decided to go really, really deep into this area of love, dating, and relationship. I believe that as women, if we have, and I have learned over time, that we can have our business going, we can have our fitness health going, we can have, you know, all those areas figured out. And if we don't have, for most of us, if we don't have a great man to share our lives with, we feel that there is something missing.
Love is always at
So,
the foundation of everything we do. If it's self-love or love with another person.
right, right. Yes, yes. So that's why I'm so passionate about this kind of work. And also because my own love life sucked. You know,
Yeah.
I was really bad at it. Nobody ever taught me how to do it right. And we learn how to love through our primary caregivers, and my primary caregivers unfortunately didn't have the wisdom, and they weren't healthy enough to show me the good way. They showed me the bad way, so I had to relearn all that, and plus learn new skills and abilities in order to be successful in relationship, because it is a learned skill. Once we do the healing, after that, it is a learned skill. It's not something that we, you know, because we are women, we are born with it. No,
Yeah, unfortunately not.
unfortunately not.
And as you mentioned, you've have had struggles yourself with dating and love, and
Oh my
usually
goodness.
we become a coach or a teacher, so to say, after we've overcome that struggle yourself. So how did you teach yourself how to be good at that?
Oh my God, yes, yes. I heard once, I read it in a book somewhere, I don't know where, that if you want to become something, if you want to master something, teach it. And for me, it's love. I want to die and I want to be known as love. And I have a lot of work to do. I just turned 50 this week. I
Oh,
hope God
congratulations.
gives me 50 more years. Thank you. And hopefully I'll get closer. It's a big, I am very ambitious. But answering your question, as I mentioned briefly, up until I was 30, I was an intellectual. I knew a lot.
Yeah.
I thought I knew it all. I had read, at that point, I was spending about 10 hours a day reading or studying in some form or fashion. My friends were intellectuals. We were having deep conversations and, you know, about the arts and spirituality and philosophy, whatever. And, you know, and I was uh, genetically gifted. I was very pretty. I had a great body. I had a fitness routine that I loved. I lived by the beach. I owned 2 houses. I had a boat. I had a great life. I was married to a very handsome man, an airline pilot. I mean, French, you know, all the things that
Yeah.
you would, oh my God, she
Ticked all the
made it.
boxes. Yeah.
I literally checked all the boxes. And I was utterly unhappy in my relationship. My relationship wasn't working, and I couldn't figure out how to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't the first time I was in that place.
Mm-hmm.
My romantic relationships were always a cause of struggle for me.
Mm. Yeah.
And fortunately, and I say this with a grain of salt,
Mm-hmm.
fortunately, I found my ex-husband with another woman in my house.
Mm. Wow.
And they weren't playing Monopoly.
No, like.
And that moment, fortunately, again, because remember that I had a background in psychology and I had a lot of skills and
Mm-hmm.
tools. I was very versed in the how to self-regulate your nervous system. I was a professional of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to keep that into account, because what I'm going to say, some women may feel triggered by what I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to say. To me, when I found that,
Mm-hmm.
when I discovered that, I knew it was a gift for me.
Mm. Yeah.
I saw it as a gift, and I say, thank you, God, because I knew
Mm-hmm.
I needed to stop that
Yeah.
relationship. And because of my upbringing, that
Mm-hmm.
I was abused when I was a child, up until, for many years,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I could take all the abuse he was going to give me.
Mm.
Come on, I was at home,
Yeah.
I could take all that. I was
Mm.
used to that.
Yeah.
But cheating was a big
Mm.
no for me.
So that was a sign for you, or almost like an exit sign from you're free to leave now.
It was
Mm.
exactly the thing that had to happen for me to stop,
Yeah.
put a big stop, and relearn how to do relationships. So
Mm.
that was almost 20 years ago. And I literally, told myself the common denominator in all these failed relationships
Mm-hmm.
is you.
Mm.
Stop blaming it on men. Stop trying to change men. Stop all that madness,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and start working on this area. So I did that. I kept all the areas of my life for a couple of years on maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
I had everything was on wheels. So all that I kept doing, but
Mm.
I wasn't putting a lot of energy in it.
Mm.
And I put all my energy on becoming what I called back then. I called it, I'm gonna be mature, to learn how to be mature in relationship.
Mm.
That's what I called it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I did. So
Mm-hmm.
I started to read books. By that time, I had been in therapist myself as
Mm-hmm.
a client 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
Hadn't done anything for me.
Oh. Yeah.
Therapy never did made any difference. So
Mm-hmm.
I knew that. And so I turned to coaching, what I was doing at the time. Coaching really changed my life for good. And so I started reading books. I hired a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And, that led to another one. I took a year without dating.
Mm-hmm.
I am originally from Argentina. I went back to Argentina for 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have a huge Italian family there that are very loud. So I spent time with them. I came back to the States and kept, learning and practicing. And then after about a year, I was in this group coaching these women to be, to go out and date and put themselves out there. That was the beginning. And I noticed that they were all resisting going and dating online.
Mm.
Back then, apps weren't a thing. We were on the computer.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my God, they have to do it. And how do I make them do it? They were doing all the work.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing the homework, they were doing learning, they were coming to the meetings once a week. I mean, they were doing everything.
Yeah.
They were consuming a lot of information, but they weren't taking the action. And you know this, we all know this. I mean,
Yeah.
no man is gonna come and knock at our door.
No.
We have it's just,
Yeah.
we have to take inspired action and get out there in any shape or form.
Mm-hmm.
There are different ways to do it. No, it doesn't have to be necessarily online dating, but
Mm-hmm.
somehow you have to put yourself in front of a man.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, what's going on here? And I'm like, how interesting, Natalia. You are not, you don't even have an online dating profile. Yeah, so I did that. I went to eHarmony and got me, I liked eHarmony back then, I felt safe with that,
Yeah.
and you had to pay it.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured it out that if men were paying,
Yeah.
they were going to take it a little bit more
More
seriously.
serious. Yeah.
And also back then, they couldn't see, they couldn't go and pick.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
harmony was matching you. So I like that as well. I didn't want to be on an online dating app where I was
Yeah.
like on a mid market,
Yeah.
because again, being very humble, I was really pretty, and that on online dating helps.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried Match and I was bombarded. It was too
Mm.
much. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
took myself out and did eHarmony. So anyway, so that's what I did. And then I went on 200 first dates in 2 years,
Wow. 200. Yeah.
learning, I am a scientist at heart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Remember, everything started with psychology. So
Yeah.
I am a scientist at heart. So I decided to go on these dates to practice
Mm-hmm.
everything I was learning,
Yeah.
to get to know men
Mm-hmm.
firsthand, to get to know how they think, how they feel, what they like, what they don't like, to learn what I liked and I didn't like, what
Mm-hmm.
made me tick and didn't make me tick. And so I did that for 2 years. And then I was living in Florida at the time. I moved to Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And when I moved to Las Vegas, I decided to take on running. And
Mm-hmm.
now it's my passion. I run all the time. But that was like over 15 years ago. And I joined a meetup group,
Mm-hmm.
meetup.com. And I
Yeah.
joined on Meetup, a running group. And I put a stop to my eHarmony account
Mm-hmm.
because I couldn't figure it out, the city. I was getting dates, but I couldn't get there on time because I was getting lost. Las Vegas is a very hard place to drive, believe it or
Mm-hmm.
not. But I don't want to get too much into it. Let's leave it at that. I was getting lost left and right. So I'm like, Natalia, you first learn at least the layout of the city, get yourself settled, and then start dating again.
Yeah.
But I went for my first run with
Mm-hmm.
the meetup group. And there I met my husband, my now husband for almost 15 years.
Mm. Nice.
So,
Yeah,
so
you had
that's
to
my
get out
story.
there.
I know it's a little bit long.
No, but it's interesting that you went on so many dates to almost like study dating and study men and how they act during a first date. So what was your like discovery during all those dates? Was there like a common thread in all that?
The main discovery for me was that men are fantastic.
That's good.
That really, they are amazing and they are very responsive.
Mhm.
They were responding really well to my energy.
Mm.
That was the first thing, that the way I was showing up to the date,
Mhm.
according to, as I learned how to be in a good energy all the time.
Mhm.
But at the beginning, I didn't know. So
Yeah.
I was noticing, I was looking at their body language and the way they were being, they were treating me and talking to me and all that. And I figured it out that men are fantastic. Even the ones that
Mhm.
weren't you know, I met a couple that were doing illegal things, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But even those guys that were doing illegal things,
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to please me and they wanted to wow me and they wanted to, you know, they were all trying to make me happy. They were
Mm.
all trying to make sure that I was enjoying. I used to go a lot to a bakery and
Mm.
have cake and cocoa.
Mm.
So I, you know, enjoying that I like the cake or the cocoa and so that
Yeah.
was the first thing.
Yeah, because it's how important is it to watch your own energy when you're either dating or in a relationship?
It's very important. It's
Mm-hmm.
very important. We are made out of energy.
Mm-hmm.
So if our energy is off,
Mm-hmm.
we are going to trigger other people in a way that is going to be off as well.
Mm-hmm.
So being in the right energy, it's very, very important,
Mm-hmm.
super important in relationships. There is, there is, we are all made of energy. And when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to attraction between a man and a woman, for this attraction to
Mm-hmm.
happen, there has to be two different sides,
Mm-hmm.
like magnets.
Right.
If the magnets are negative and positive, they will attract.
Mm-hmm.
If the magnets are negative and negative, they
Mm-hmm.
will repel.
Yeah.
And if the magnets are positive and positive, they will repel.
Mm-hmm.
So how it shows up in relationships, we call it energy masculine and energy feminine energy and masculine energy.
Yeah.
And if that feminine energy and masculine energy, sometimes people get a little bit confused
Mm.
because it doesn't have anything to do with the gender.
Right.
It's an energy. It's made
Yeah,
up
we
of,
both have it have masculine and feminine energy in us, of
and
course.
we all have both. We all, as human beings, we have it all inside of us.
Mm-hmm.
We are the universe.
Yeah.
We are like, imagine the whole universe is the ocean.
Mm.
And that ocean is composed of everything in the world
Mm-hmm.
that we know.
Yeah.
We are a drop of that ocean.
Yeah.
Now, there are some characters that are more predominant in
Mm-hmm.
us,
Yeah.
you see? So with the feminine energy and masculine energy,
Mm-hmm.
we usually have one character more predominant.
Yeah.
And we will attract the opposite of that.
Mm.
And you may think, well, some people may have 50 and 50.
Mm.
Yes. And those people that have 50 and 50 are what is called a narcissistic person,
Mm. Okay.
because they cannot be one way and they cannot be the other.
Mm. Right.
Like they don't want to eat and they don't want the other person to eat.
Mm. Yeah.
You have to choose a side. And
Mm-hmm.
I know this is very, very hard to understand for women, and they cringe and they say, you know, they get upset sometimes
Mm-hmm.
because they think of feminine energy as weak.
Mm.
And actually, if you look in the dictionary,
Mm-hmm.
yes, the synonym is weak. So there is a reason behind
Mm-hmm.
that.
Right.
But if the woman decides to be in the feminine energy because she wants to be with a masculine energy man, it doesn't mean that she has to be weak at all. There
Mm.
is a lot of power of being in our feminine energy. At the end of the day, we have the upper hand.
Mm-hmm.
We are creators.
And what do you think of the saying, you attract what you are ready for?
What was that? Let me
Oh,
see.
oh, sure. And what do you think of the saying, you attract what you are ready for?
Yes, I think so. I agree with that. I
Mm-hmm.
agree with that.
Yeah.
I think everything that we attract
Mm-hmm.
comes to us for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the caveat in that, I believe, is that we give the meaning, we give the reason
Mm-hmm.
based on the software we have in our mind.
Mm-hmm.
And unless we have done the work and we have gotten rid of the past, that reason we will give it may not be helping us right now. So yes and no. I mean, we attract what we can handle. Say somebody saying, well, I keep attracting these guys that are cheaters, and I am not a cheater. Well, that may be a cue that you have to place healthier boundaries. No? Maybe that is a cue that you have to do a little bit of work and realize and get very good at vetting guys. So you don't get involved with the guy that is a cheater. Because the world will put opportunities in front of us.
Yeah.
God will give opportunities, and sometimes it's a test.
Yeah.
How much we want it.
But does that come back to self-love?
It's self-love for sure. Self-love, I mean, without that's like the foundation. That's for the emotional life. You see, we are not just physical people, humans. We have a physical plane, we have a spiritual plane, we have an emotional plane, we have a soul. So we have different aspects of what makes us human.
Yeah.
So, and you know, that's very important to know, because self-love is like on the physical level, we need food, we need calories, and we need nutrients. Yeah. We need micronutrients, we need macronutrients. And if we don't get that in, we die. On the emotional level, we need love and connection and intimacy. And if we don't have that, if we don't have that foundation of self-love, you know, it's like when we are born, we are already born with nutrients, and we are good for a few hours. So it's the same self-love. We have to have it inside of us and be good for a while until we can start to receive love from a man and give back love to the man.
Yeah.
It's like we receive love and we give back. We don't give, and then receive if he decides. No.
Yeah.
Man is the doer, the man is the giver. There is a reason why we have a vagina and they have a penis. We are the receivers. So once we receive and we feel good, oh, I feel so good because he's giving me all that love, that's when we can do good as feminine energy women. Men are the contrary. Men have to do good, so they have to give in order to feel good.
Yeah.
So we need to feel good as feminine energy women,
Yeah.
and that is the base of self-love. If we don't have that very basic foundation of calcium, our bones are going to break. If we don't have that basic foundation of self-love, we are going to be starving of love. So we are going to go and try to get it. And that's when we turn a good man away. And that's when we turn a narcissistic man or a psychopath on.
Yeah.
They can smell that. They're like sharks. They can smell blood in the ocean. I remember I used to live in South Florida, and I used to swim in the ocean almost every morning. And I was always afraid of cutting myself because they say that, you know, sharks smell blood. So I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to be attacked by a shark. It's the same with the dark triad, the psychopaths, the narcissistics, the emotional unavailable men. It's can smell that we are depleted of that. So they come to us, and they come to us as our saviors at the beginning, because those dark characteristics, those dark kind of people, they're very charming at the beginning.
Yeah.
They come and they wow us. If we have a problem, oh my God, they fix it.
Yeah.
You don't have money to pay your credit card this month? Here.
Yeah, and they love bomb you at the start, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They shower you with love. They shower you with affection. They shower you with gifts and stuff.
Yeah.
And because we are so starving, because we don't even have that self-love foundation,
Yeah.
we're completely vulnerable. There is nothing wrong with us. It's just that we are missing that self-love.
Yeah.
And what happens is it's a cycle. You know, the man eventually gets bored and leaves us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go back to square one. And then we go through the same situation. It's a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, unless we break the cycle and we learn how to love ourselves, how to trust ourselves, that's another big one.
Mm.
Trust.
Yeah.
You know, how I hear it all the time in my practice. One of the first questions my clients ask me when we start working together, how will I know he is the right one? I have made so many mistakes already. How do I trust? I mean, how do I trust myself? And that's the work. That's the
Yeah.
work.
That's where it all starts, right?
Yes, it starts with us. You know, like the song, Let It Begin With Me.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's boring and I know it's cheesy and it's oversaid, but it's cheesy and it's oversaid and it's
Mm-hmm.
box populi because it's the truth. Everything starts with us.
Yeah.
We cannot expect a man to
Mm-hmm.
make us happy, to make us whole, to make us complete.
Mm-hmm.
We are happy, we are complete, we are whole. A
Yeah.
man can only add to our happiness,
Yeah.
add to our dreams, can
Mm.
add to our well-being, can add.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I wish it were that simple. That is why I called it. Remember what I said? I called it, I want to learn how to be a mature in relationships.
Yeah.
Because even without knowing, I knew that my mindset was very immature.
Mm.
I was hoping, even unconsciously, that a man was going to come and save me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that is I'm not saying this judging because it's not good or bad. This is not a moral judgment. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, it's not healthy.
Yeah.
Because the only kind of men we are going to attract are the kind of men I was attracting,
Mm-hmm.
like my husband. He even had a white truck. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, for real. And that's what he did. He came to me and he just, I mean, he love bombed me like
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. That's
Like
scary.
crazy. It was fun as heck, but it didn't last long.
Mm. Well, I love our conversation. Our time is almost up, unfortunately, but I love your love for love. And I want to
Thank
ask you my last question, and that is also always the same, and that is, when are you at your happiest?
Oh, that's an easy for me. That's so easy. Out in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Love nature. If you know, we follow each other on Facebook, Instagram. I'm all about being out there in nature with my husband, with my dog, with my friend, just hiking, swimming, biking, running, climbing, name it. I love nature.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for today, Natalia. It was really an honor to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Susanna. Thank you. My pleasure.